Mark, how much does the injuries at offensive line and getting some young players in there, losing now a few starters, how much does that help and the experience that the younger players had?
It should help. It should help. It's kind of like the question about Jeff Lockie's experience relative to somebody else. The guys that have played quite a bit, should have a level of understanding, a level of confidence, but at the same time, they better compete because there's some guys both on campus and guys, in the mix that will be in the mix that will compete their tails off for that playing time. And we had a couple guys, whether it's, a guy like Elijah George or some of these other guys that have missed out on the entire season. I know that, those guys are going to come back hungry, so they can't rest on any laurels. And we will certainly have a competitive situation almost at every position.
Mark, I guess there was a recommendation at the NCAA convention about moving away from testing for recreational drugs at the NCAA level and focusing more on education and that type of thing. Does that sound like a good approach to you? Do you feel like that's something that could be tweaked?
I do, and probably not for the reasons that you think. Sorry, muting. I think if something's illegal, it should be illegal all the time. If a guy, we played against a couple guys that throughout the year are arrested for something, and then they play the next week. And then if you pay a player in week 2, that's illegal. If you pay a player in week 16, that's illegal. If you pay a player in recruiting, that's illegal. It's if something's illegal, it should always be illegal, and it should always have a quote unquote equal measure of punishment. And so that, I think there's some imbalance certainly there. And at the same time, we need to continue to educate our guys on making great decisions.
Mark, you lost a lot of guys from this team that have had great careers, obviously, and that doesn't need to be understated, but there also seem to be a lot of guys that have been big leaders for this team in practice and in the workouts. How important is it to identify the new guys, the new voices right now and moving in the next couple of weeks? And who would you like to see step up to be those guys to fill that leadership void?
Yep. That's something that it's one of those things you try to catalyze and spur a little bit, but you also can't fabricate it. You know what I mean? And so a lot of that just has to happen naturally. DeForest Buckner is going to be an outstanding leader. I know that, and I'll tell you that right now. There's a bunch of guys, maybe younger guys offensively, that have the juice, that have the credibility to be that guy, that probably aren't as comfortable as they will be a month from now or 2 months from now, behind the scenes, weight room, all the workout stuff we do, and so that's something that we have a way that we kind of divvy up some of those responsibilities, and then as those roles kind of are expressed to everybody, then we'll kind of put them in more formal leadership roles type situation.
Mark, after having some time to digest the title game film, was there anything that stood out to you, or maybe just things you didn't notice right in that moment, right after the game? The thin margins of what coulda, woulda, shoulda, and they're an excellent team, an outstanding team, very talented team physically. We knew that going in, we knew, their playmakers going in, and just, that's the unfortunate part of it, is that's the taste in your mouth of after a great season is coulda, woulda, shoulda. And that probably won't ever change, but very, very proud of our effort and how our guys battled to get there.
Has it been hard at all to follow your own advice to the players to flip the page with the title game?
Yes.
I know you go straight into recruiting, but
that's probably been a blessing and a curse. Is you have to flush it and move on to a certain extent. But yeah, initially right after that is tough, and our players will get a little time to relax and move on to their next phase, and getting focused on academics and self improvement in the winter are huge. But yeah, I need to definitely take my own advice in that regard.
Yeah, I will expand on that a little bit. What kind of advice do you give, let's say, for instance, following Marcus's footsteps, obviously is going to be a tough one. So when you put your arm around Lockie, and what kind of advice do you give a player next year in terms of staying focused and just playing within themselves rather than trying to live up to the standards that have been set ahead?
Chris, you should relax, first of all. Just relax. No, I think that's you said it best right there. All those guys, it's you have to step up with confidence, but within yourself. He doesn't have to. He's not going to run 4.4 to use Jeff as an example. But being a distributor, being a point guard, being a great leader, being a great teacher during the offseason, those are all things that he can do very easily and needs to do. By the same token, it's somebody at center, it's somebody at left tackle, it's somebody filling Eric Armstead's role. All those things are things that happen. Guys don't have to do superhuman things. They have to be a better version of themselves each day and fit the scheme where they're asked to do that.
Mark, I know you guys go back and dissect every aspect of the past season and try and figure out why on a lot of things with injuries. Will you take a look at that, or is it just a bad luck the way football is? Sometimes you have a lot of injuries.
No, definitely. We've already done that, and there's a pretty impressive database that we're trying to compile conference wide of whatever everything cleat, temperature, surface, action, collision, injury, all the, every variable that you can maybe narrow it down to something. How we train, how both from a training perspective on the field, the weight room, all those things will be they'll come into play, and no, that's absolutely something that is ongoing.
Mark, what lessons did you guys, as a program and you as a head coach, did you learn in the national championship game that you can take forward in the future?
Well, there's game to game. There's things obviously that you're always learning, whether it's a 40-point win or a loss in the national championship game. There's stuff that whatever it is, technique, scheme, all the stuff that you're trying to improve upon, not only year to year but week to week, and so that isn't much different. There's what I don't know what the right word is, hurdles, things that you have to overcome. I think leading up to the game, they said 15 out of 22 of Ohio State's starters were from Ohio. That's a reality, and so that's probably not going to happen here. As a native Oregonian, and I love the state of Oregon and everybody here, I don't think they would want that, and so that's that's not an excuse. It's something that we have, facilities and relationships and all these things that that's our way to compete against that, so to speak. But that's a battle that we'll fight forever, just the demographics of the state and our location. That's not going to change. And then all the other stuff, again, I think in that one game situation, everything's always blown up of whether it's the Stanford thing from a couple years ago or whatever else, everybody kind of is the agenda item for that week.